What is up, guys? It's Valkia, and last night I once again hit skill rating 70 in competitive. This is not the first time that I've hit level 70 or 70 skill rating until I solo queued my way back down to about 65, 66. Now, I just wanted to kind of talk about my experience playing competitive, how I reached level 70, and the games that I've been playing, so you can get a bit of an understanding on my thoughts of competitive from the levels going from 60 and now going into 70. After I finished my placement games, I ended up at skill rating 58. This isn't too bad. A lot of people actually end up in around the 50s to 60 mark. It seems to be where the majority of people are. After getting into 60s, I experienced a few different things, going from solo queuing, duo queuing to a whole team. And I just kind of want to share my experiences and kind of talk about like what I faced and, you know, the absolute idiots that you come across during these games as well, who think they know everything and ultimately lose you the game. So, going into 60s, you know, I played a lot with Stylosa, Unitlost. We did quite a lot of duo queues to try and raise our skill ratings up. We had some very successful games, but we also encountered some games in which people in the 60s, at least the early, I'd say 60 skill rating up to about 67, 68, there just doesn't seem to be any sort of team communication, almost like they're going in it for a free-for-all. You check and the people won't fill what needs to be filled as roles to make a good, consistent team. You know, whatever the team composition needed to be, there'd be somebody who would moan and complain, be toxic, and just cry all fucking game because they couldn't play Bastion or whoever it may be. So what I found was during the 60 period, there'd be people who wouldn't be using microphones, would refuse to come into team chat because of the lineup of the team. You'd find that you wouldn't be doing group pushes together, because that is pretty much what makes you a successful team, is when you go in as a team, you know, pushing with whatever tactic or whatever you've got going for you in the team composition you've got. There was just none of that going on, and so as a duo queue, we'd be going up and it'd be coming back down and be going back up and coming back down, and it started to become very frustrating, especially with the people who just kind of would call things but would just get it completely wrong. Like, they wouldn't know what they're talking about. One game we had, somebody said like not to have a Mercy. They were like, oh no, don't use Mercy, don't use Mercy. Who is at the time one of the most efficient healers. You know, she has a res, right? She can pull back a whole team if they go down. And somebody in the game was saying not to use a Mercy. And, you know, we evaluated, is it something that, you know, maybe we should have a Lucio or another healer, but Mercy was, you know, the typical choice to take, and probably at the time the most effective as well. So it was really, really frustrating. So that happened, you know, going on from 60s to 65. I found a lot of toxic players within that kind of category, maybe even going 60 to 68, 69. Now, I've played a few games in the 70s as well, and what I found is it's pretty different. People who are in the 70s, you know, they are more skilled, they understand that you have to form a group to push. So even when you're playing kind of more solo or duo queue, you do find people using microphones more. People are grouping together. Even if they don't have microphones, you can see people are waiting outside the spawn, so you could regroup and make a push together. They're not kind of just running in one by one, filtering through, going down, then getting really fucking upset and toxic and crying and leaving the game. You find it's a little bit more organized. You will come across a 70 who has a huge ego, who thinks he's the best player ever in Overwatch, and it's like, listen to me. And then there's somebody else. Like, if you have two in-game leaders at the same time who normally make the shots, you're gonna have potentially a clash unless they can work together and work out like something. Hey, that's actually a really good idea, we should try it, and if not, maybe we should try what you're suggesting. But a lot of the time, if somebody's got a big ego and they think they're right, they just won't listen. They'll just do what they want. And again, it was, even if you've got full teams of great players, if the communication and the synergy between the players isn't there, you're just gonna fail, and it's just not going to work properly. But that going on said, it is nice to play in the 70s. Because of how it feels. It feels different. It feels more organized. It feels less toxic. And me and Sty, actually found this as well. We found as we were closing in towards 70, you know, when we were like 68, 69, we're like, hey, you know, we had like 5 games in a row when nobody said anything, as in like nothing toxic. People were communicating properly, and it felt much nicer to play. And you know, the level of play was good, the aiming was good, the calls were great, and we had some really enjoyable games. And you know, we were going up, and then we'd hit that area again where we'd have some games where people wouldn't call and people were leaving and complaining that, you know, the composition wasn't right, and so they wouldn't try in the game. And even if they had microphones, they weren't using them. Like at the beginning of games, me and Sty like, hey guys, join the voice chat for group or for team chat, and who has a microphone? Like let's get the comms flowing. Let's get people used to using their microphone. I found on PC, people aren't used to using the microphone unless they've already previously been in a team before. Overwatch is kind of the first game which I've used in-game comms. I've played a lot of games at a competitive level, and those have been using like TeamSpeak or Vent, and this was way before Discord, for example. And it seems that Overwatch has shied people away from using the microphone, so they just need a little bit of encouragement. So let me tell you about this one game where, at the beginning, I asked if everybody had microphones, everybody responded. We went through one game, it was a capture point. We lost it sorely, and nobody on our team, except me, was calling anything. I said on the second round, guys, you've all got microphones. Why are we not talking to each other? Why are we not combining ultimates? Because at the end, when you've got two teams at equal skill level, it's a battle of like who can put in the best ultimates and then who can follow up with that. But they didn't do that. So the second one, like, guys, come on, let's use our microphones. Let's talk to each other. Let us go in and know what is going on. This is a team-based game. You need to know what is going on at all times. Otherwise, the enemy can get the upper hand on you. Reaper teleports behind. If I'm not told, I could get taken down. But if somebody goes, whoa, what's out? Watch out, there's a Reaper behind you now. Everybody's going to turn around. Everybody's going to deal with it properly. And this is another topic that I need to get onto with flankers and somebody who's going to cause distractions. That's going to be made into a second video because people lose focus and you can actually lose games because of this too. So, going back, everybody used their microphone on the second point and the second map on the capture point, and we won. And it was amazing. Everybody felt great. Unfortunately, the third map, people stopped using it again. I have no idea why. I encouraged them, but the communication just kind of broke down and we lost. And it was so frustrating. So I think just a little bit of encouragement to people in competitive to use their microphones isn't a bad thing. It's definitely positive, especially at the higher levels when team play and grouping together is so important. Think of every push as like a unit. You have to push as a unit. You can't go in one by one. You have to group together behind the Reinhardt shield, take down their shield, whatever you need to do. You need full force, full damage, full heals, all together, or in like very close proximity. So that's kind of like my experience at the moment going through. So in summary, it's like 60 to 70. You're gonna meet a range of people. Some of those who want to talk, who want to do team play, who want to group up, are gonna excel, and you're gonna meet them in the 70s. So long as they've got good teammates who are doing the same thing. Anybody who's starting to be toxic is gonna get shunned by people. They're gonna get muted, and they're just gonna be spoken to less. And in the end, that breakdown of communication, breakdown of gameplay, breakdown of the team, and you know, toxic people can lead a loss. People get so rustled, me included. I'm not gonna say that I don't get pissed off by like toxic idiots who are just blaming the team. You know, and I'm trying to, at first I become diplomatic. I'm like, hey look, it's, you know, this can work, or, you know, stop that because it's not going to do good for the team. You know, we want to win. And in the end, the person who's being toxic doesn't really care if they win or lose, you know, whatever. It might be their first game they've ever been competitive in. They don't really care if they lose rank or, but some people want a game ranked, right? And if one of the best things to do is go in as a team of 6. It's easier to rank up if you're solo, duo, or triple queuing. This is because you're going to get matched against another maybe triple queue, and then the rest could be solo, which means the whole team hasn't had a previous kind of experience of talking together and grouping together. Some of the best teams are the ones that communicate the most. They know exactly what people are going to do. You know that they have your back. So if you're going in as a 6, the games are tougher. I had one guy who we were a 5 and he solo queued, and he was moaning because he wanted to join a whole other 5 people who were solo queuing in competitive. now, why would he want to do this? This is because the games are actually easier. That's because a lot of the time, not everybody is talking together because they're solo queuing, right? They haven't played together and they're not going to be the very best from the beginning. You know, their skills might be very high, but even some of the top teams, the top skill levels from some of the teams, if their communication isn't great, you know, it doesn't matter how good the player is, the teamwork just won't be there. So he was moaning like, oh, you know, this is why I wanted to solo queue and fucking blah, 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 blah. And I was like, well, it's just easier if you solo queue. In a team of 6, people have practiced strats. You know what's going on. Like, even if it's your first time doing like queuing as a 6, most likely you're gonna have microphones. You know, you've at least grouped together with people that you know, that you could communicate with, that you're comfortable playing with, and most likely you're not going to be grouping with somebody who is super, super toxic. So the games are ultimately going to be harder because most teams most likely have more tactics and, you know, it's going to be generally more organized. But if you're solo queuing, that might not be the case. So it was super confusing. The guys like just wanted to, you know, solo queue his way up to rank 1 million and claim the throne as the best Overwatch player there is in existence ever. But no, that's just not going to happen, unfortunately. So I've had some nice times. I have raged at a few games. Anybody who has watched my live stream has seen me rage a couple of times, losing some games, and a lot of these, oh my god, are on coin flips. Holy fucking shit, I hate coin flip because the amount of games I've played that have turned into coin flip when we've held the point until 5 seconds before like the very end, and we literally plowed straight through. This is the same everywhere. Everyone you talk to about coin flip, I don't think there's anybody who loves the coin flip. Thank God that it is in second season going to be disappearing, but coin flip has screwed me over more than once. I mean, one of the ways that we found we winning coin flip was just Bastion, Mercy, Reinhardt set up and just melting them as they come through. Time limit had gone from 2 minutes down to like 1:30 now, so it was a little bit easier to hold. But oh, it's so frustrating to lose a coin flip. It drives me up the wall. It makes me so mad. It makes my blood boil because you know that you're the better team, but coin flip just, you know, it's a coin flip, right? What can you say about it? Heads or tails, you lose. So that's kind of my experience going into competitive. I've had a lot of fun, met a lot of great people. A lot of people who have seen my videos have been like, oh shit, what's up, Valkia? And like, hey, what's up, bro? You know, and then they join the stream and they love it. And I have played a lot of my games on stream too. I've been playing a few off so I can get some footage. I'm going to be uploading some footage from my competitive games too. I don't have too many because when I do competitive games, I do them on a live stream, which I don't particularly record at this moment in time. But I may potentially start recording, because I want to record them at 1080p. My stream's at 720p. All technical stuff that you don't really need to know about. But yeah, I want to put some of my games online so you can hear the communication that I do. I do play a lot with Emily, Queenie, a lot with Sty and some of the other YouTube guys, one amongst many, Cynical Nerd, Sky, Max, and Overwatch Central, Ryan and Miska. And it is a very pleasant experience if you guys can find some players to play with, at least one or two, where you can talk to them and organize in a game. Because if you become frustrated, if you're solo queuing, just my rule, just in my microphone, whatever, my rule, don't solo queue, man. Just don't solo queue. It's just you're just gonna end up having a heart attack and I'm never gonna be able to watch another one of my videos. So that in a nutshell is kind of my overview on competitive play from my point of view. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, make sure to drop a thumbs up and a comment. And if you haven't already done so, subscribe for more great Overwatch gameplays, tutorials, tips, and anything else that I'm going to put out on the channel. Guys, take care of yourself. I look forward to having you back on another video.